Hello and welcome to Immortal Behaviour this week. A big weekend in Magic Round up in Queensland.
Weekend. I'm only working Friday, so then I'm escaping.
Well behaved. Good plan.
Yeah.
See if it happens.
It'll be happening.
All right, well, let's start off with the Bulldogs. And it was quite an emotional week this week for Carl Flanagan when he spoke to the media, and a lot of questions about him being dropped. What did you make of this whole situation?
It was tough to watch. It was really hard to watch, and good on him for fronting up. But it goes with the territory. If you're going to play NRL football and whatever, I hate talking about money, but with money comes expectation. And you wear the number 7 jersey, you got to own the result. And it doesn't matter if you're 32 like an Adam Reynolds, or you're 22 like Kyle, or you're 18 like Sam Walker. You're judged on your results. So it's tough. It's tough playing NRL because there's so many eyes on you, and everyone wants to have an opinion. And now with social media, they all get on there.
Tough to watch though, and pretty, ballsy of him to go ahead and say, "Yeah, that's all right. I'll speak to the media."
For fronting up. You could see he's hurting, which shows he cares. But he needs to work on his game. There's areas of his game he needs to go away and work on.
Did you think that his game on the weekend, he should have been benched in it? Did you think that was the right move?
I thought he was poor in the first half. A couple of poor options. The kick on play one. If you're going to do that, you've got to nail that. I don't know whether that's a byproduct of watching Sam Walker and seeing how he plays and trying to emulate the way he plays, but I thought defensively he was pretty poor. And now people are making excuses about the Bulldogs pack. I thought they went okay. So look, I think the best thing for Kyle, go back to New South Wales Cup, go and work on your game, try things, no pressure, not many people watching, and then build your game back into first grade.
What do you think is, the looking into the future, what do you think is going to happen with him? Do you think that he can, fix it and get back into it?
Well, it's up to him. As I say, I think the best thing for Kyle, get out of the spotlight, go back to New South Wales Cup, work on your game, build different areas you're going, go back there and take some risks. The game's slower and this sort of thing. And look, I said in the commentary, it looked to me that Kyle has grown up playing structured footy from the time probably in his early teens, middle teens, which is a lot of players now. And then when that doesn't work with the quicker ruck speed and all that sort of stuff, there isn't that ability to play ad-lib footy because they haven't been taught that. Now this goes back to junior coaching, which I could talk all day about, but I don't see him playing outside the structure. So that's what he needs to go back and work on a reserve grade, just playing ad-lib.
There's no denying that the Bulldogs are struggling. Do you think that's the reason is Kyle, or do you think there's a lot more issues?
There's a lot of it. They're just struggling for confidence as a team. And, there's no combinations. It's a new team. Look, once again, I thought their forwards went okay. I can't remember his name, the young guy that came on in jersey 15. He got a couple of times, and with his footwork and size, he went halfway through the defence, and he's like that. The bloke's like 20 metres away. It's just like, get forward. Basics of the game. Get forward and support your forwards. But they look like they're in for a long, long year, the Bulldogs.
Yeah, unfortunately. And just last one on Kyle. Do you think that this situation that he's going through at the moment, do you think that vindicates the Roosters' decision to let him go?
Yeah, it probably does when you look at it. And they obviously saw the ability and the skill of Sam Walker, even at training. So I heard people talking last year to me, said, "Why do you see Sam Walker play? You're going to love him as a player." So obviously they saw Sam, his emergence, and they make the ruthless calls there at the Roosters.
Right, well, in the news as well this week, Josh Papali'i says that he's willing to turn his back on Queensland and Australia to play for Samoa. What does this say about where their hearts lie and how much their home countries mean to them?
Well, I think you see with Tonga, with what's happened with Tonga, with players making sacrifices for money, but also the opportunity to play for Australia. And have a look at Tonga, it's a superpower now. I have no doubt that Samoa, if they all commit, and I'm talking, the top real best players, Junior Paulo, Roger Tuivasa, Sheck, these sort of players, they can win a World Cup next 5 or 10 years, without a shadow of a doubt. The strength is there, the team is there, and the difference within Samoa to Tonga is Samoa have really top-line halves in Jerome Luai, Dylan Brown, Chanel, Harris Tavita. Where you look at Tonga, they play Katoni Staggs at halfback. So there's a team there. They just get everything right. I have no doubt. Every year they'll be challenging Australia, New Zealand, Great Britain, England.
Well, how important is it for Samoa, given the talent pool that they do have, that they get everything else right behind, their sort of front office? They get all that sorted.
I have no idea the politics going behind it, but you hear rumours about it. Look, they just need stability from the top down or the bottom up, whatever you want to put at it. But if they get everything right, they get, the board, everything in the board, the people within Samoan Rugby League moving in the one direction. As I said, the sky is the limit. And then with that success, then the NRL can breach out into Samoa and Tonga and Cook Islands, and Fiji and Papua New Guinea, and just build centre of excellence over there and bring pathways for young guys who live over there, a path into the NRL.
Yeah, and think of the talent that would have in the NRL.
It's endless.
Yeah.
It is endless.
What's been the fallout from you and Maddie and SBW saying that you wanted to coach Samoa?
I don't really know. Look, there's been some jumping up and down in the media from the players. So look, we don't want to disrespect the current people, regime, and the current coach. We just sit back and we said, look, if the opportunity came to coach, we'd love to help out, but I think we should let it breathe in all respect of the people involved there. Let it all sort out within that.
Still wonder though if they came to you in 6 months?
I'd love to. I'd absolutely love to. I think it'd be an honour to coach Samoa and in some way have a small sort of hand in them. As I said, becoming a team who can regularly beat the what do they call them? The top tier nations. That's
because this is you always talk about how you never want to head coach the NRL. This is like the perfect job for you.
Perfect. You just go in. I think it'd take a lot of work during the year, and I think it's exciting not only to bring on the top line players, but looking down at the 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old players coming through and giving them certain guidance and mentoring them about how they play and the philosophies in which Samoa is going to play by. I think it's just so exciting, and to play a style of footy which wouldn't be like the Australia play.
Yeah,
it's a style which would be unique to Samoa.
Yeah,
exciting.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about Adam Reynolds. Likely to pretty much set to put pen to paper. I think they've got still a couple of things that they've got to work out, but it is the Brisbane Broncos that he's going to. What do you think this will do for the club? Do you think this is going to be a bit of a turning point in the club's history?
He gives them a really world-class kicking game. When you're talking about all-round kicking game, attacking kicks, yardage kicks, goal kick, he's probably the best in the world. So when you've got someone with that strong kicking game, it can keep you in the fight, even when you're struggling on the field. If you want to go watch old videos of Ricky Stewart, he did this year after year with Canberra. He gives them a leadership. He's a genuine halfback. He'll organise the team, and he's a world-class kicker. So it's a great signing for Brisbane. Although I hate it that he's leaving South. It's not right.
It's really sad. Right. It actually is really sad for a player who's grown up in the area.
You should only ever see him in the South colours. Local junior. Loved the club growing up, won a premiership there. Anyway, that's another story for another day.
Who do you think is the best person to partner with him in the halves?
I don't know whether within up there, whether they have a 5'8" that can take him to the top 4, whether they have to go to market and buy a 5'8". It'd be interesting. I don't really know 5'8" who are on the market. You got Sean Johnson, but whether they have the money to sign both Adam Reynolds and Sean Johnson, I think they'd go together, depending on Sean's injuries.
What does Reynolds' arrival at the Broncos then mean for Tyson Gamble and for Brodie Croft as well?
Oh, well, you think they're on the outer. They're looking for... You got to question whether Tyson Gamble and Brodie Croft could take the club to a top 4. And probably the answer is no. So, once again, when you're at a club and you're at the hierarchy, you got to make those really tough decisions. So, maybe Tyson Gamble, he might play a bit of 5'8". He's a big body, so... He's probably the next in line to play 5'8" within the organisation at the moment.
What about for just the Broncos going forward and their recruitment? Speaking to Damien Cook this week, and he was saying that one of the reasons he wanted to join South Sydney was to play with Adam Reynolds. Do you think that this is now going to be a real opening for the Broncos in the fact that they're now going to be able to recruit more experienced and bigger name players?
Look, I hope so, but Brisbane should never have to recruit players. They should only recruit the player who they're deficient in a certain position. If you have a look at the junior base around Queensland, they've got to get that mystique back that every kid who grows up in Queensland wants to play for the Broncos. And you have a look at the players that have left. David Fafita, I think Big Tino Fasua-Malawi was in the system. Xavier Coates.
Was Sam Walker?
Sam Walker was in the system years ago. They've told Sam that they saw him more as a fullback than a halfback. Now, if you're going to have a look at where your club's broken, it's broken right there. You got a 300 game, a 15-year top line halfback. It was in your own backyard and you didn't recognise it. Honestly, Stevie Wonder could see he was going to be a great player.
Yeah, and they've got such a big pool as
well.
Hi,
Stevie too. He loves Immortal Behaviour.
Well,
big pool, but you can't keep all of them, and this is what I talk to people at Newcastle. Because Newcastle's similar. The players who have left, Latrell, Greg Inglis, Boyd Cordner, Greg Bird, all these sort of... You can't keep them all, but you have to identify early the special ones, and you've got to keep them within your club, even if it means moving on an experienced player a year or two before they're finished.
Does this now close the Rabbitohs premiership window to this year with Reynolds going?
This year I still think they're a chance. Look, I think
going forward.
Look, at the moment you got Melbourne and Penrith eyeballing each other up here, then below them you got Parramatta, and then below Parramatta South. But they get their full squad on the field and they'll be thereabouts.
Who do you see as the replacement for Reynolds?
I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I've heard 2 or 3 names pop up coming through their system. Whether they play Cody halfback even. We saw Cody last year play a few games at halfback when Adam Reynolds was injured and he killed it. Look, they've got a plan. They're stuck to their plan. And look, in some ways, you got to applaud the strength they've showed at the top.
Well, we knew this was happening for so long. Everyone knew it. We were speaking about it, I feel like, episode 1 this year.
Yeah. And, it's tough and I don't like it, but I think you got to applaud the hierarchy there for they obviously have a plan and sticking strong.
The other club that was after Reynolds' signature was Cronulla. How does this reflect on Cronulla not having been able to pull it off?
Oh, it's a worry. Because Adam's got a young family, so I imagine his children are in schools. So he would have commuted. It's only, 20 minutes, half an hour from where he is in the southern area of Sydney to the Shire. So it's a real worry.
All right, well, let's talk about Origin. We're not too far away, I think. What is it, 30 days or something?
28 days.
28 days.
I'm about to do my 30 days in the desert.
What's your 30 days in the desert?
Just cleanse like our Lord did.
How do you... what does this
I think
entail?
if I had to cleanse, I think I'd go there for 30 years.
What does your cleanse entail?
I might go to the desert, not like our Lord Jesus Christ, but maybe Jim Morrison. He had more fun in the desert.
So,
anyway,
no
Christians out there, I'm only joking.
No coffee, no...
Oh, coffee.
Your coffee's fine?
I couldn't care less about no coffee.
No drinking?
Well, we'll go the next time.
All right, so yesterday on Friday the 8th, you selected Jack Whiten as your Blues at 5'8". Are you worried about his club form and that could impact his performance at Origin level? Or
maybe a little, but Jack's such a tough individual, physically and mentally. You'd think once he got in there, he'd sort of shake it all off. But probably a little bit. You'd like all your key players in the key areas to be firing. But I've no doubt the way Jack plays, he'll be fine once he got in there.
When you're a player coming from club that's not doing so well, and you're going into that Origin arena, what would you do? How would you have to do something to change your mindset?
It only happened to sort of myself in 2005. We were going. I don't think we won a game by that stage at Newcastle. I sort of didn't play many games that year because I broke my jaw. But then I was coming back from a knee injury. So there was some tough times there when I put my head on the pillow. You sometimes have a bit of self-doubt, but other than that, most of the times we were always pretty strong during those years, late 90s, early 2000s at Newcastle, but probably depends more on the individual. Some can just turn up and just go bang, I'm right, and some sort of need some cuddling, and whether they talk to a sports shrink or some sort of mentor or the coach or whatever. Depends on the individual.
Did you need some cuddling?
No, Monday mornings.
All right, what about the hooker position for New South Wales?
Yeah.
Do you think we're a little bit thin there? Damien Cook, if something happened to him injury-wise?
I think Coruscant would be the next one to go in there, which then adds combination to Nathan Cleary, Jerome Luai, Stephen Crichton, Brian To'o, these sort of things.
So pretty much
Isaiah,
have the Panthers team.
We look back at New South Wales when they were flying, when we were flying. In the early 90s, we had a big core of Canberra guys. Then the sort of late 90s, we had a lot of Newcastle and St George guys, all sort of came through, and then in the early 2000s. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway,
having those club combinations.
Combinations are so important, because when the what hits the fan out there, you're so tired, you can't even communicate, you can't talk because you're out on your feet, and sometimes it's
you want them
myself
to,
and Bedsy we'd have that combination of sometimes words didn't need to be spoke.
But you knew what each other was saying.
Perfect relationship, no words spoken. Dr. Phil here.
Dr. Phil, yeah. All right, well, this
Dr.
is what
Phil,
I'm...
Dr. Phil C.
I feel like you've got some good stories on Bedsy.
I've got some great ones on Bedsy, but Bedsy's a bit like Bambi in Newcastle. It's just that cute guy that everyone loves.
He looks so innocent.
It's a facade.
It's a facade.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about Jacob Arthur.
Yes.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to see him in
I'm
action.
so
Brad
excited
Arthur's
for him.
son,
Yeah.
set to make his debut. What's it? You obviously work with him quite a bit. What's he like?
Actually, it's not your stereotypical halfback. Halfback's bubbly, life of the party, cheeky. He's quite reserved boy, real shy young fella. The last 2 years I've been working with him, I can say I've never ever met a player or young player or any player work as hard on his game as Jake. When I first started there, he was quite limited to how he played with his skills. But now moving 2 years on, he's probably technique-wise the most perfect within the club with his technique of passing, kicking, etc. So to see him come from where he was to where he is now, it has been so good to see. On top of the pressure of being the first grade coach's son.
Do you think if Brad wasn't the coach, he would have made his debut a little bit earlier, or do you think this is the right...
No, I don't think so. I think this is the right time. They've been okay with injuries early in the year. Will Smith, who's played incredible the last couple of years, playing dummy half or 5'8", he's got a broken thumb. So now is the time for Jake to play. Look, all the players are really excited. They love him as a young bloke being around the club, and I think they can all see, like myself, how hard, how dedicated, and how much he wants it. He loves it. It's so good to see.
Is he quite a big body?
He's big. He's tall. He'd be probably 6'1", but quite wiry at the moment. Look, he'll put size on. I think by the time he's mid-20s, he'll be up around 95 kilos. But with that size, he's quite physical in defence. So he'll hold his own. And look, he's in a great team. Ryan Madison on the inside, defending on the inside. I think he's got Wanga Blake outside of him. So some big bodies, experienced defenders, but he'll do his job.
How do you think you would have gone if you were the son of the coach?
Oh, Gary. Well, he coached me in under-13s.
How'd you go?
We won the comp. Not so much the coach. Maybe the captain added a little bit there.
But do you think for Jacob, obviously there's going to be a lot of headlines this week, a little bit more pressure than what most other debutants would have?
Oh, definitely. But it's a real cool head. I don't think he'll get it. Well, I know he won't get ahead of himself. And I think he's got the tools to handle that. People say don't read it, but it's hard not to know what they're writing about. Even if you don't see it, people talk about it. But the advantage for him also, they're playing away. They're up in Brisbane. They'll go up a day or two before, so he'll have a really good preparation. And look, he's such a student of the game. He knows his job. He knows what he's got to do.
Well, Josh, who was Junior Paulo was saying this week that Jacob's actually, well, he's been at the club since he was 12 years old.
As
so
a ball boy
I reckon he
he's
thinks he knows
there.
the game plan better than anyone.
Yeah, well, all he has to do to start with out there is organise his forwards, defend strong. That's the first thing. Defend strong, and then your game builds from that. He'll do a little bit of kicking, make sure he's organising his forwards, support the ball.
If you were the captain and you're about to run out onto the field, what would you say to him?
Enjoy it. Put a smile on your face. You've been dreaming about this for your whole life, and this is something you'll never forget. Things you do the first time always sort of really stand out in your life. This is a great moment for him and his family.
Yeah. Excited to see him in action. All right, you looking forward to it? Ready to go, Magic Round?
When I get back from the desert, it'll be great.
All right, well, thanks for joining us here on Immortal Behaviour. Enjoy the footy over the weekend, and we'll see you again next week.